Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast Battle Report. Today, we continue the Death of a System campaign. And Jared has brought his Scions.
Whoa, I did!
Once again, and we have a special mission for you as the forces of the Coven are leading a raid against the Imperial world. Fear the Reaper. It's a mission out of the Coven book. And we've got 1,500 points of Coven and Dark Eldar versus 1,500 points of Scions. Archon Skari and Inquisitor
Hadrian Blackwater.
That's right. The rivalry continues. Let's begin. Join the community today by supporting over on Patreon, as well as liking the Facebook page and visiting other social media like Instagram, Twitter. Check the links down below. Campaign game. This is the third game, well, fourth technically, but the third filmed game that we're going to be showing you.
Let's not talk about the third game.
Let's not talk about this. It's Fear the Reaper. Fear the Reaper is a mission in the Homunculus, the Coven book. It is Vanguard Strike, and the defenders, which is Jared's Imperial forces, deploy first. He's just deployed all his Tauroxes. Everything else is in reserve. Make sure you check the links down below for more stuff. And then I deploy second, and I can choose to go first or second. I do want to go first. And the aim of this mission is every time I kill an enemy unit, an objective marker gets placed within an inch of the last model that was removed, and then those count as objectives. So pretty much sort of like kill points, but everything that I kill turns into an objective. My stuff doesn't die to become an objective, it's simply the enemy models. But each objective captured at the end of the game is 3 points. We also have secondary objectives, which are First Blood, Linebreaker, and Slay the Warlord as well. And it is Night Fight turn 1. So it's called Flesh Harvest is the name of the special rule. My Archon Skari, in the command traits, everybody within 12 inches of him gets +1 inch to movement, run, charges, all that sort of thing. And he is in this raider with the Grotesques. The Trueborn are in here with the Hemivore Homunculus. This one is empty. This one has racks in it, and I've got 2 Talos and a Kronos, and 9 Reaver jet bikes, all ready to spur out on the flank. Okay, so needless to say, the Dark Eldar want to spring their trap at night. Do the Imperial forces want to seize the initiative?
No, you can keep it. Okay,
he's letting me go first. Okay, let's begin this bloodbath. The forces of Hadrian Blackwater assemble in the strike cruiser, or the Imperial vessel, in orbit, ready to strike, while the Dark Eldar forces amass to purge and take resources back to the Dark City. He has requisitioned one of his buddies, another Inquisitor, and they've given themselves Terminator armor. But Jared, let me know, how has your list changed since last we played?
So the main thing is I'm just running a CAD with the Inquisitor detachment. I figured I'd go for more combined arms or under security units and see how it goes. So I got 5 Scion squads with plasma guns or melty guns, 2 command squads, one with 4 flamers, one with 3 plasma guns, a plasma pistol, and a melty gun. Then I got 2 Inquisitors, Hadrian Blackwater and Royce Melbourne, with Terminator armor, psi cannons, and mass level 1, so I can get Psychic Shriek.
Yeah, so Psychic Shriek, your Warlord trait was Orbital Bombardment, so Hadrian Blackwater has an Orbital Bombardment. He's fitted it with his Relentless Terminator armor, so that's going to be very good for him. And that's 1,500 points versus 1,500 points of Dark Eldar and Coven for this purge. So the first thing I brought was Archon Skari. Archon Skari has all of his gear. He is equipped with an Agonizer, a Phantasm Grenade Launcher, Haywire Grenades, a Shadow Field, a Soul Trap. It's quite expensive. And he came to war with a Purge Coterie, which is the Get Started box for the Dark Eldar. So 1 Raider, 1 unit of Cabalite Warriors that I've upgraded to Trueborn with 4 blasters. A unit of jet bikes, which I've upgraded to a 9-man unit with 3 heat lances and a squadron leader upgrade with cluster caltrops, and a dedicated raider for the Trueborn together with him. The formation allows me to get preferred enemy against an enemy unit every turn, so lots of anti-tank there. Looking to use that. And a Covenite Coterie detachment. I have 2 homunculi because I need 2 HQs. One of them has a Hemovores. That's why I'm using Rakarth's model, because of the little snakes at the bottom. 2 Talos, 1 Kronos with the probe to give everybody within 6 inches plus 1 feel no pain. And I've got a unit of 10 racks, 2 liquefy guns, and then a Akathist upgrade, the squad leader, with another liquefy gun, 3 grotesques, and then 2 raiders as dedicated transports. This is 1,500 points. Let's begin. The forces of the Dark Eldar have surged forward towards the trap, or the bait, as Jared likes to say.
Could be either.
It could be. The grotesques have moved up with the Archon. They're over here. I had the Talos and Kronos move and run. The 2 raiders decided to shoot at the Taurox on the far side. That was marked for death by the Archon and failed to do any damage. Meanwhile, the racks have moved up over here, and the Reaver jet bikes have just stayed swarming all over this ruin here, waiting for some reserves to show up before they commit to the battle. We're moving on to Scion, turn 1. Lots of pressure here from the grotesque unit. Let's see what they can do before the reserves decide to arrive. Imperial retribution was swift, with the Tauroxes quickly redeploying, knocking out the Archon's flagship, while also taking out the Trueborn's raider, killing 5 in the ensuing explosion. The Homunculus and 1 Trueborn are left alive. The raider on this flank also took a hull point and cannot move or shoot. Took 2 hull points and cannot move or shoot.
Yep, stunned.
As well. And that is all she wrote. For turn 2 for the Dark Eldar is nigh, and a lot of the mobility has been hemmed in. Let's see what the Archon and his grotesques can do to the armored line. Moving on to turn 2. Oh, first blood for the Scions.
Yay!
The Dark Eldar close the gauntlet as the homunculus forces, the Coven forces, do some damage. I've killed 2 Tauroxes in combat. Therefore, 2 objectives have been placed with the flesh looking for. The Reaver jet bikes have decided to put some pressure on for the other 2 Tauroxes. 1 has 1 hull point on it, so 2 left, and 1 is completely fine. I did maneuver, get into cover, waiting for some reserves to arrive, as well as some Inquisitors and lots of nasties. So, let's see what the Imperials can bring into the game.
Alright, so the Valkyrie is
arrives.
I got, what's that, 2 plasma gun squads? Neither. There's 3 melta-gun squads, so 1. Hadrian Blackwater, no. Royce, yes. And then I have Flamer Command Squad and the other Command Squad.
So both command squads, 1 Inquisitor,
Valkyrie and a
Meltagun unit. Okay, let's see what the reserves can do when they arrive. And remember, they have to also try and capture these objectives as well, which is going to make for a very interesting game. The Scion reinforcements have arrived in grab, shoot, insertion. We had the plasma gun, the twin-linked flamers, all kill the grotesques and annihilate the 1 homunculus, leaving Archon Skari by himself. Meanwhile, the Inquisitor here did nothing to this raider, did 1 hull point with his side cannon and forced it into jinking. This unit of melta-guns fired into the Kronos and did no damage, while the Valkyrie did not do anything against the Reavers, but did force them into jinking. And these 2 Tauroxes fired into the racks, killed 4 out of the 10 racks. So we're moving on to turn 3 for the Dark Eldar, with Archon Skari in the wind, Warlord up for grabs, a lot of flamers over here, he's kind of scared for charging into a wall of death. We shall see what happens as the battle is joined, and there's still lots of reserves to arrive for the Scions, and they're all objectives secured, and I have no objectives secured, so these objectives at the end of the game will be a lot easier for him to get than for me. Let's see what happens on to turn 3. The Dark Eldar have advanced and put a lot of pressure on the Scion army. The Valkyrie looks below as another of the Tauroxes goes up in flames, and the Archon has lobbed a haywire grenade and put 1 hull point on this Taurox in close combat. This unit of Reaver jet bikes used its cluster caltrops to knock out the last hull point on that Taurox, and did wipe out the plasma gun unit as well in combat, while this Flamer unit put 7 wounds on Wall of Death onto the Homunculus, and he passed 6 out of 7 Feel No Pains thanks to the Chronos, but he failed a 7-inch charge, rolling a 6. In the other meantime, the Talos burst out of cover and charged in, Hammer of Wrath, destroying the Inquisitor with 1 failed save, even though the Inquisitor passed every save for shooting he was required to make. And then here, the Racks have charged in after flaming a few of the unit with their liquefy gun, and are now stuck in bloody combat with the Scions. And the one lone Trueborn got out to help deal with that Taurox in the backfield, while this Raider has moved to the far corner. Now, we're moving on to Scion turn 3. All the objectives are starting to really accumulate back here.
In the one corner.
In the one corner. And there's still pretty much almost the entire Scion army ready to come on the table. Let's see what the Scions can do.
Alright, plasma guns.
They arrive.
Melta-guns.
They arrive.
And my warlord.
He decides to stay back just a little longer because he knows that his orbital bombardment is going to be key later in the game. The Scions arrived with a vengeance, deep striking, very close to the Dark Eldar lines, and we had 1 Talos go down to 4 plasma guns. I also passed the saves from the melter guns against the Chronos. Meanwhile, the Racks forced that Tempesta to run away, but he is running away, and I lost 7 out of the 8 jet bikes I had left thanks to the twin-linked Flamer unit. Wow, what a crazy amount of shooting. The Valkyrie did kill 1 left, but 1 is left alive. He was jinking, and he passed his morale. Meanwhile, Archon Skari is still alive, while the Taurox moved out here and failed to do any damage against the lone Trueborn. So we're moving on to Dark Eldar turn 4. It's bloody, it's intense, and we still have the Inquisitor to come down and see what he can do later in the game. Oh, what a turn. We had the Taurox survive. I wasn't able to kill it, even though it was marked for death. Archon Skari charged in and passed 7 Shadowfield saves through a wall of flames to walk in and wipe out that combat squad, that command squad. The Homunculus here didn't run down that unit, but there's 1 left. The Chronos here did wipe out its unit, and this Talos made a 10-inch charge into the other plasma gun squad, and they are falling back, as well as the unit that the Racks charged that are falling back here. So it is turn 4. The Inquisitor is showing up with his Shriek. The Valkyrie is completely fine. The Taurox is fine. We've got a lot of objectives over here, but it's other than the Talos and Chronos, we have a lot of things that are below strength. And running away, the Imperials are in a hard-pressed situation. Let's see what they can do on their turn. We had Hadrian Blackwater deep strike in his Terminator armor and lob a orbital bombardment on the Racks, and they died. Direct hit. We had some shooting from the guys inside that rallied to go to the Taurox, firing, putting a hull point and stopping that Raider from moving or shooting, but didn't do anything to the Trueborn or the Heat Lance Reaver jet bike. And these guys over here have consolidated and moved up into the ruin, while we have these guys back here. That Scion And this Scion still running away. So, turn 5 could be the end of the game. I do have to try and kill these units, but it's also about capturing these objectives. So let's see what I can do as the game could go on for another couple of turns. We'll see what happens after this. So one more of these Scions die, but I failed my charge. I did kill the 2 Scions that were running away to make 2 more objectives. And my Trueborn died in combat against this unit of Scions here. But I did kill that last Taurox, while Archon Skari has charged in to the Blackwater Inquisitor with his Agonizer and has done 1 wound and made both of the saves with his Shadow Field to not get crushed by the hammer. And nothing happened to that Valkyrie. So, Scion turn 5 could be the end of the game. This guy is objective secured. These guys are objective secured. Warlord is up for grabs. Linebreaker can still happen. This is still anyone's game. Could be the end of the game, right? So remember, a unit can deny multiple objectives but can only capture 1 objective. So these 2 Scions are denying these 3 objectives, whereas this Reaver Jetbike was capturing that objective. So they are capturing 1 objective. The Archon is there, but they're denying. This Raider is alive, capturing that objective. This Kronos and Homunculus are capturing these 2 objectives, but they're being denied by this Scion here, who's capturing 1 of the objectives because of objective secured. So, as it stands... Oh, by the way, the Archon killed the Inquisitor in close combat. Jared's just shaking his head.
Rolling 1s, so many 1s.
I know, he invisibilitied this guy here, and the Archon took advantage of that and murdered him in cold blood. And then he's got Linebreaker at the back here. So, we have 3 and 3, 6 points for objectives so far. First Blood and Linebreaker, which is an 8 points. I have 3 points here, plus Linebreaker is 4, plus Warlord is 5. So right now we're looking at an 8-point to 5 game. And it is the end of the turn. Let's roll to see if this game continues. And that's a cult dice.
Damn
the
it.
game continues on to turn 6. I think that's going to be game. We will be back after turn 6. And the 2 Hammer of Wrath monstrous creatures dealt with that 1 guy, and Archon Skari dispatched of the other unit, bringing the grand total to the end of the game. Jared, great game. Thanks a lot.
Good game.
It was very tight there, right at turn 5. Make sure you stay tuned for the tactical corner where we talk about some of the tactics, but turn 4 seems to have been the turning point when the turn 3 drop of the Scions didn't do a lot of damage, and then they basically got wiped out in return. But thanks all for watching and tuning in. Make sure you check the links down below to see other content, as well as to leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of the battle. The next mission will probably be something different as well, as we continue the Death of a Sector campaign. But the Homunculus Coven has reaped a bloody swath through the Imperial ranks, and they have the ingredients that they needed. We don't know what for, but they have the ingredients that they needed, and we're moving on. Thanks a lot. This is Skari, your grateful host. Out. Hello and welcome to another Tactical Corner. Today, the last game in the 3-game installment of the Death of a Sector campaign, where the Coven forces under the commanding eye of Skari attack the Scions in their last bastion of defense. And this was a fun thematic game. We played a Coven mission where it was like kill points, but every unit of the Scion army that the Coven destroyed became an objective worth 3 points at the end of the mission. So he decided to deploy everything in a corner and just try and stem the tide. And of course, some of my nasty units like the jet bikes were going to be able to get in really quickly and just start doing some damage early on. So he was relying on his Scions to come in and do damage when they dropped,
while at the same time preventing me from holding objectives at the end of the game. So the game went about as planned at the beginning of the game. The Dark Eldar swarmed on the small Scion force and started taking out the respective tanks. Now, in his second turn, the Scion player, Jared, brought down quite a lot of his units and really did some work on the Dark Eldar army, killing the Grotesques, and then crippling some of the movement with some of the transports getting destroyed. This meant that I was left crippled in my third turn and wasn't really able to respond as well as I would have liked. Now, this was then solidified in his fourth turn, where he came down and took out a Talos, but then failed to really kill some of the key units he needed to destroy. Now, the Flamers proved to be fantastic, just wiping unit after unit out. They're probably the most dangerous thing in his army against my army, while his Valkyrie is probably the least effective model in his army. So he was banking on me not really doing as much damage as I did on my fourth turn. So his third turn he came down, and my fourth turn I essentially wiped out his whole army. And he had a lot of things running away. Now, this was not what he expected and proved to be very difficult for him to come back from. But he was able to claw back a semblance of victory on the fifth turn with a series of rallies and his warlord surviving and coming in. He was in a position to win the game. And of course, with one dice roll, the game continued, and the Coven and Dark Eldar forces were able to take the victory from the jaws of defeat right at the end of the game. Now, this was a very fun little campaign. What do you think? Let me know down below with a comment, and stay tuned for more content. Support the channel on Patreon, and like, share, and subscribe. Skari, out.